Hey, hi everyone. All right, so we're going to be practicing dividing a fraction by a whole number today. So I'm going to go ahead and give you some background information before we do some examples. So if we had a problem such as 1/4 divided by 2, there are some special terms for these numbers. So 1/4 is called the dividend. This is the number that's going to get divided. And then our number dividing 1/4 is called the divisor. And this is going to be the same for any division number sentence. So 10 divided by 5. The 10 is my dividend, and the divisor is 5. So let's keep these in mind as we move forward. Okay, I have one other piece of advice before we move forward. If I have the whole number 3, what fraction represents 3? If I had 3 as my numerator and 1 as my denominator, that is the same as my whole number 3. For instance, if I took out my handy dandy calculator and I punched in 3 divided by 1, that's going to be equal to 3. Okay, so remember, this works because that's saying there's three whole pieces. Like, let's do the opposite. If we did 1/3, so that would be 1 piece out of 3, right? So if I had a pie, 1 piece is shaded out of 3 total. That is represented by 1/3. What does 3 out of 1 mean? Well, I know that 1 out of 1 equals 1 whole pie, right? This whole thing has been eaten. Now there's 3 of them. So let's do some erasing here. If 1 out of 1 equals 1 whole pie, then 3 over 1 would be 3 whole pies. So any number over 1 is equal to the numerator, or is equal to itself. So 3 over 1 is equal to 3, or 3 is equal to 3 over 1. All right, let's move on into some questions here. All right, so I have a trick that will help you get through your problems. So, and it's called keep, switch, flip. If you can remember these 3 components, you can get through your problems. Now, I understand there's other ways to solve these problems. There's going to be other videos out there that you can explore, maybe other strategies that work better for you or your student, and that's perfectly fine. You got to find what tools work best and keep those in your tool belt. So let's go ahead and try this way. Okay, I'm going to start with the fraction 2 over 8 and divide that by the whole number 5. So my fraction is going to be divided by my whole number. All right, I'm going to give you a visual for what we're trying to accomplish here before we even solve it. So if I have, let's start with our fraction 2/8 or 2 out of 8. Well, let's try doing a rectangle here. So let's make 8 parts. Hold on. I'm going to do this a little nicer. There, that looks better. Okay, so 8 parts. It's not going to be perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold on. Be patient. Oh, come on. 7, 8. There. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so I have 2/8 divided by 5. That is my problem. All right. So if I have 2 of these shaded out of 8 total, that would represent my fraction. All right. Now, there, I have 1 2 parts shaded out of 8 total. All right. Now, I need to divide this whole thing by 5. So I've made some rows here. I've made 8 rows. And now I can make some columns. Okay, I need to divide this whole thing by 5, which means I need to make 5. Why? 5 columns. Thanks for waiting. All right, there. We have divided this whole thing by 5. Now, looks like a lot. I need to look at my individual columns here. So here's one of our columns. And I see in this one column, there are 2 shaded areas. So there's 2 parts shaded in this one piece. And this is going to represent our answer. Are you going to want to draw this every single time? Probably not. So if I wanted to go ahead and solve this, or give you a visual representation of what we're actually doing here, I would need to figure out the fraction for this. Well, there are 2 final pieces that are shaded out of how many total? Okay, well, this is an array, so I just have to take the rows times the columns. So there's 5 columns times the 8 rows, which is equal to 40. And this could be simplified as well, and we will get there later in this problem. I know that 2 goes into 40. I can divide it both by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 40 divided by 2 is 20. All right, let's see if we can get there using our problem we were given. So I'm going to rewrite it over here. 2/8 divided by 5. All right. So 2/8 divided by 5. This looks challenging. I need to keep my rule in my thoughts as I do this in the same order every time. I keep, switch, and flip in the same order. Okay, so I'm going to keep my first number here. I'm going to keep 2/8. All right, now I need to switch something. Well, what's next? I've got my division symbol. I need to switch that. So what's the opposite of division? Multiplication. I'm going to turn that into a multiplication symbol. And finally, I need to flip. And the last number here is 5. How do I flip a 5? Well, if you think back, we were able to discover that 5 is the same as the fraction 5/1. Anything divided by 1, or any number divided by 1 is itself. So if we throw the numerator or the denominator of 1 under the 5, that is the same. So since we know that, all we have to do is flip the numerator and the denominator. By the way, this is the numerator on top, and this is the denominator on the bottom, okay? So all we gotta do is flip these 2 around. And that would equal 1/5. And I'm done. All I have to do is multiply across. So 2 times 1 is 2, and 8 times 5 is 40. All right, now that we have done that, can we simplify? In math, we always have to ask, can we simplify this? Or most always, because we want to try our best to get to the simplest answer because it will help us later on. All right, so I know that these can both be divided by 2. 2 goes into each my numerator and denominator. So I can divide each, my top and the bottom by 2, and that would equal 1/20. You're officially done. You have simplified your answer, and you have solved your first problem where you are taking a fraction and dividing it by a whole number. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I'm more than happy to help. Let's try one more. All right, this takes time. Okay, let's try 5/6 divided by 3. All right, fraction divided by my whole number. Well, keep in mind, I have to keep, switch, flip. That's my rule. And we can apply it here. All right, so I'm going to rewrite this. This helps me from it getting too messy and cluttered. You can do what you want though. All right, so I need to keep 5/6. And then I need to switch my sign from division to multiplication. And then I need to flip my 3. I can't just flip it to look like this. I need to flip it as if we were thinking about numerators and denominators, or as if the 3 was the numerator and we have a denominator of 1. So that's the same as 3, right? So let's just make it into a fraction. 3/1 can be flipped into making the fraction 1/3. All right. So we can go ahead and solve this problem by just multiplying across now. So 5 times 1 is 5, and 6 times 3 is 18. All right. That's our answer. We can't simplify this fraction anymore because only 1 and 5 are the factors of 5. So I know that 5 doesn't go into 18, so we are done. One last bit of advice. If you get into a problem that says, this is just extending this lesson. If you get into a problem that has a mixed fraction, maybe 3 1/4, and you need to divide that by a whole number. Well, we need to change this into an improper fraction. That's really the simplest way to go about this. And in order to do that, you need to multiply the denominator and whole number. So 4 times 3. And then we're going to go ahead and add the numerator. Take this over the denominator. And the denominator in this is 4. So this is equal to, well, I know 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 more over 4. Well, that's equal to 13/4. Okay, so now I've changed my mixed number or mixed fraction into an improper fraction. So now I have 13/4 divided by 3. And you can go ahead and solve as we have already practiced. All right, I hope this helped. Good luck, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.